the wake of it, as I mentioned, right now involves a recovery effort. Right now, according to authorities, 28 bodies have been pulled from the river out of the 67 people who are believed to have perished last night. This effort, again, continues at this hour. For more on all of this, I want to bring in our friend Hung Cao. He's a retired Navy captain and a former U.S. Senate candidate, of course. Captain Cao, it's always good to talk to you. Good to have you back on the show, sir.
Thank you, Vince. I'm sorry it's under these conditions here.
And, and one of the reasons why I am interested in speaking with you specifically is because you have been a part of these salvage efforts in the wake of a plane crash. In fact, I was reminded that you were a part of recovering what was left of the pieces of the John F. Kennedy Jr. plane crash now many years ago, weren't you?
Yes, that and amongst other aircraft too. I mean, I recovered a lot of military aircrafts and commercial airlines too. It was terrible. I mean, it's always terrible, and you want to bring comfort to the family,
Yes.
or just closure.
Yes, that's for sure. Give us your sense of what this recovery effort must be like for the guys who are out there right now.
Yeah, so we're in 37 degrees water. So right now it's like, do you wear dry suits? You can't, because it's a lot of jagged metal that will cut through a dry suit. So you'll probably wear a 7 millimeter wetsuit with chafing gear. That's what that's what we used to do for aircraft recovery. And the first thing is to recover, obviously, the black box first, and then the victims, because you don't want to, when you pull up the plane, to have, you've got to protect their dignity also. So we want to recover all the bodies, and it's a tough thing too. You usually double bag them. You cut drainage holes in there, but you put in double bags just so nothing else comes out also. I mean, I'm not trying to be gruesome. I'm just letting you know that this is the art of having to do that kind of stuff. It's hard. And underwater, I mean, people think, oh, it's only 7 feet, but you can get embolized. 7 feet is very, very dangerous, because the arterial gas embolism, you just pop up really fast, and then next to this air bubble goes to your brain. So these are fears we have also. And my fear also is for the divers. There's a lot of things that you have to do in terms of worry about their sanity afterwards. We have so many suicides in the military after young men and women are seeing things that they're not used to seeing.
Yes.
So that's the body recovered part. And then the salvage part, I would say what I would do if I was the supervisor of diving and salvage for this would be floating in some barges and then a crane on a barge so that you can start lifting it up. I think the helicopter is upside down, so you can probably open the doors, put a sling in there, and pull the helicopter out first, and then the fuselage from the planes. And then, I mean, there's a lot of other pieces and parts too. People think it's just two pieces, but when a plane goes into the water, it just breaks apart. And we've got to recover everything because there's an investigation.
How difficult or easy is it to get an image of what's under the water? I mean, when you actually want to establish, okay, what does the terrain look like here? We were listening this morning to local officials describing, EMS officials describing the debris field, and they say it ran from right there next to Reagan National all the way down to the Wilson Bridge, because obviously there are currents. The water was moving last night, and a lot of what was and much of it was carried about a mile away to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. How do getting a picture of what is underwater there, and that water, as you mentioned, relatively shallow, I guess, 6 to 7 feet in some places, other places waist deep. They're saying, so it varies there in the Potomac River. Is it possible to get a clean picture, or is it going to be a while before we know exactly where everything is?
Yeah, it's going to be a while because there's a lot of fuel and oil in the water right now too. So that's another thing you have to worry about, the exposure of your divers to that kind of stuff as well. But the debris field just gets spread around, especially with current pulling things across the Potomac River. So it's just tough. I mean, you can probably use a little handheld sonar, but some things just don't ping off. We have handheld sonars that we can put onto our divers so they can find pieces and parts. But let's take care of the big pieces first, then we have to find the other small pieces, and
Yes.
Of course, you've got to pull up all the personal belongings too.
How hard is this with the water temperature being as low as it is right now?
Oh yeah, 37 degrees is hard. Exposure to the guys, and people won't think about it. There's a lot of things that happen. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't consider this like ice diving. Ice diving is a lot different too, because there's something that happens to your face when you've got cold water hits your face. It's an autonomic response for your body to stop breathing. That's why you hear stories of kids falling through the ice, and they get recovered 20 minutes later, they're still alive because your body just automatically shuts down and it doesn't allow for air to come in. It's actually very hard to force yourself to breathe once cold water hits your face. So we usually wear full face masks for these operations.
And then, I'm hoping, it sounds like the authorities are saying that they're not stopping until they recover everything, which is good to hear. But these are a lot of people here that we're talking about, a lot of bodies to recover. 67, they say, across both of these aircraft. 28 bodies as of this afternoon recovered. These guys, you expect will be out there until every body's recovered?
Yes, at the very least, we've got to recover all the bodies because it gets deteriorated after. I mean, it's almost been 24 hours. A lot of things happen to the body after it's been exposed to water in 24 hours, and so as you go on, it just gets worse and worse. So again, it's the dignity of the person. It's to bring closure to the families, and it's also a biological hazard also for the area.
Yeah. And then finally, you kind of mentioned it, but I just want to go back to it because I'm really impressed by the guys who do this. This is big for those guys, the guys who are out there in terms of just the personal impact it must have on them. Not everybody in their career, thank goodness, encounters a dead body or an incident like this. But this is a real crisis. A lot of great people responding to it. My guess is many of them haven't slept since the crash occurred last night. What is this all like for them right now?
Oh yeah, their adrenaline's going, and at some point they're going to crash. And so, as the on-scene commander needs to keep an eye on that to make sure that you're cycling people through, let them rest, because everybody wants to go until the mission's done. But this is going to take a while, and so we need to make sure that they're okay. But also, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you're concentrating on just your hands, right? Because you don't want to look around. You want to just concentrate on your hands. But it's what happens after the mission's over, after you close your eyes and go to bed, and it's the images that haunt you. I mean, trust me, I've done a lot of these plane recoveries, and it's just hard. It's hard on your psyche.
All right. Well, Hung Cao, I'm really grateful that you joined us on this topic. Another topic I'd like to discuss with you, because I know you have an interest in this. It matters so much to our country, is the intelligence community. Today, Tulsi Gabbard being considered by the United States Senate to become the Director of National Intelligence, meeting a lot of resistance, especially from the Democrats on that committee who really despise her, hate her. What do you make of Tulsi Gabbard and the president's decision to ask her to take this role?
I mean, I don't know her very well. I mean, I sat in back of a car with her when President Trump and I went to Arlington National Cemetery, then to Eden Center. So I sat in back and we talked for a while. But you know what? I know Mike Waltz very well. And if Mike trusts her, and I trust her, but especially if President Trump trusts her, then I trust her as well. We need people in their jobs right now. I mean, imagine if we didn't have Pete Hegseth and Sean Duffy and Kristi Noem last night in their jobs.
Yes.
I mean, you would have people that are acting that are too scared to make a decision because they're not used to it. Whereas these guys are saying, hey, the buck's on me. I'll make the decision. Let's do it. I mean, Kristi Noem's like, hey, we're going to get the Coast Guard out there right away. And so likewise with Tulsi Gabbard, there is a threat to the United States right now. We need a DNI right now so that we can make sure we know what the enemy is up to.
Yes. Yeah, no, like last night is a perfect example. I mean, real life continues, and we need good leaders in place immediately to deal with the consequences of all of that. Tulsi Gabbard being asked to be the Director of National Intelligence, that's the primary conduit between the intelligence community and the President of the United States. We have an intel community that's been very famously out of control. Hung Cao, you talked about this during your Senate campaign as well. How much power does the Director of National Intelligence have to bring them to heel?
Oh, she has a lot. I mean, she's basically the president's direct representative. She'll be working with Director Radcliffe. She'll be working with DIA and ONI and all the and NRO, all the government agencies. She's basically the president's representative, and she will work directly with Mike Waltz also to protect our country.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna get to some audio coming up here from this Tulsi Gabbard hearing. In the meantime, I'm gonna bid you farewell. Hung Cao, retired Navy captain, former U.S. Senate candidate. Thank you very much, as always, for your service to the country and your wisdom on all these subjects today.